Welcome back to the channel, guys. In today's video, this is our first ever long form YouTube video. So hopefully if you've been enjoying our shorts, you'll really like this video. This is a 3-hole match between me and my 14-year-old son, Frankie. He usually plays off for about 36 handicap and I usually play off an 18. So we worked out that if we give him one shot per hole and allow him to tee off from the reds, it should make for a pretty fair match. I hit my first tee shot and I whipped this one out to the right. Bit of a slice and a bit thin as well, so it was down towards the trees on the right-hand side. Hopefully it was safe. We'll find out in a minute when we get down there. Frankie then hit his shot up again, playing off the red tees. His driving distance has really improved recently, but he's just a little bit shorter than me off the tee, so we thought the red tees would make this a decent fight. Frankie hit a high fade as well, so that sliced out to the right a little bit, and that still left him in the short stuff, but there were trees between him and the pin, so he had to be quite careful here. He hit a really good approach shot. He got the right distance, he got the right club. It just squirted a little bit right on him and finished a little bit off the green, but it was actually the perfect distance, so it was almost pin high. Just the right degree. And a really good approach shot for a par 4. Good shot and then go off. It left me with a short chip. I took my 60-degree lob wedge. Thought I'd just try and get it up and down from here and try and finish as close as possible to the hole. He went a little bit past, but I was very happy with the line on this one. And for two players of our handicap, we're both pretty happy to be on or around the green after 2 shots on a par 4. As you can see on the close-up angle, I just managed to hold the green and Frankie was just in the fringe. So pretty happy from there. And then Frankie had this chip to try and chip in for birdie. Before the round, we've been practicing Frankie's chip in, trying to make sure that he turns his hips all the way through the contact. And he hit this one pretty well. It rolled past the pin, but he was very happy from that kind of distance to still finish with a par putt. I was then reading this one as a tiny bit right to left. I was trying not to hit this too hard because it was slightly downhill. And the practice greens were rolling really quick, so I was a bit scared of smacking this one past and then ended up leaving it a tiny bit short. I definitely got the line right, but just didn't quite give it enough. But tapping in for a par on this hole, I'm pretty happy with. That's a par though. Take a par there. So Frank, this is for par. So this is to win the hole. Oh, cool. Yeah. Frankie's putt coming slightly back up the hill. This one is actually a left to right putt. It looks quite straight, so Frankie hits it pretty much dead at the hole, and it just spills off to the right a tiny bit on the contact. And he still had a little bit of work left to do for the bogey putt. Now, even though he makes a bogey on this hole, we don't add it to his scorecard because he gets a shot on every hole. So you'll notice that his 4 in the top right corner doesn't go up to a 5 because he gets a shot. Guys, on to hole 2, and I just nailed my drive right down the middle, was really happy with it, and then checked and the camera wasn't filming. So I promise, Frankie even witnessed it, it was a good drive. But yeah, we are now on the red tees for Frankie's tee shot. We drew the first hole, so Frankie got a bogey, but I got a par. Frankie gets a shot on every hole, so we are even so far, halving the first hole. So on this par 4, the main thing to avoid is going left, and unfortunately, that's exactly where Frankie's ball went. He avoided the bunker over on the left-hand side, but he did carry it a bit too far, and it ended up in the bushes somewhere. I then found my ball in the bunker after thinking that I'd driven it right down the middle. And this bunker, you'll hear me complaining about it in a minute, and I actually didn't realise, you can literally see, and I noticed this back in the edit, this was actually ground under repair. So I shouldn't have even been hitting out this bunker, but I did do, and then had this to whinge about after. Awful bunker shot that. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but the bunker is absolutely rock solid. No give on the sand whatsoever, so I'm just glad to be out of there. To be honest, it wasn't a great bunker shot, but I'm out. So after taking a drop, Frankie had his 3rd shot to try and make the green. He was just aiming for the centre of the green here with the pin tucked on the left. He pulls this one slightly left and it actually goes straight towards the flag, so he was really happy with this one. Didn't see it. Oh my God, I'm on the green. Hey! Strike! I was now hitting my 3rd out the bunker. Didn't give this anywhere near enough with my lob wedge. Should have probably gone with my gap wedge instead. Guys, we've just walked up to see where Frankie's ball was, and it's a pretty good shot. Very close, Frank. Good shot, mate. For my 4th shot, unfortunately, I made the sin that I always try to avoid. I hit 2 bad chips in a row. So my first chip shot was short of the green, didn't make it up the hill. And then for my 2nd chip shot, not only did I push this a little bit right, but again, didn't give it enough either. By the time I lined up my next shot for my putt, for my 5, I literally just hit this without even really looking at the line. You could tell that my head had gone at this point, and I literally just wanted to get off the hole as soon as possible. So I tapped in for a 6 to get out of Frankie's way, where Frankie was then trying to make his par. The good thing for Frankie was, even if he didn't manage to make this shot, he still manages to win the hole pretty much either way. So he missed that for the 4, taps in for the 5, but with his extra shot that he gains on every hole, that still gives him a net 4 for his overall score. And then we moved on to the final hole. So this one for me is 145 yards, which is a good 7 iron. I usually hit a bit of a fade, so I'm aiming towards the left bunker just short of the green. And then anything that does fade to the right should just leave me in line with the flag or somewhere over that side of the green. With the shot being slightly into the sun, I couldn't actually see this ball as it hits the ground, but I was still really happy with the contact and the connection as it came off. As you can see here, aimed over the left bunker, faded it to the right. So for once, I actually managed to execute the shot that I was hoping for. I couldn't actually see exactly where it was down, but I knew it was somewhere on the green over to the same side as the pin, so I was pretty happy with that. And then Frankie had a similar shot, but from the red tees, he was hitting this a little bit shorter. He was a little bit more from the left-hand side of the green as well on his approach. He pulled another one slightly to the left. It was a little bit short because there's an uphill just before the green. So this one kind of bounces short of the hole and then pulls a little bit back down the hill. So then he had this chip shot. He was just trying to make sure he got underneath it. Again, focusing on turning his hips through the shot. He did that really well. Pushed the ball a little bit out to the right, but really good distance. Got that pin high. Another good chip for Frankie. Frank, my tee shot's about 5-6 feet. Really happy with that. So with Frankie in the driving seat, it was a 2-shot lead. He only really needed 2 putts here to win the match. So he's making sure that he gets the pace right on this one. He does trickle a little bit left on him, but because he gave it such a perfect roll, it meant that he was tapping in then for the bogey. He was about to hit him with the back of his putter, changed his mind, thought, no, let's make sure this definitely goes in. So then I was hoping to make a birdie on this one. I only just managed to give it enough break. Luckily, caught the edge of the hole, and that gave me a birdie, but it wasn't enough to win. So the final scores were Frankie finished on 11 shots and I finished on 12. So I think the shot per hole for him was the perfect handicap to keep things nice and tight. If we didn't give him the shot per hole, then he might not have made that win. But I had a bit of a blow-up hole. That 6 on the hole 2 definitely cost me. And with a birdie at the end, but still not winning the match, I was pretty disappointed. Hopefully you enjoyed it, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Follow along for more.